Well, good morning and welcome back to CityLine. With me, I have someone who I have wanted to interview for so long. I get to see him from afar when I'm at the symphony, or maybe I'm downtown and he's doing something, but I never get to sit. So today is like a check off the wish list. Please join me in welcoming Geoffrey Boers. You are the director of Symphony Tacoma Chorus. Welcome, my dear.
Thank you. You've been very kind to introduce me that way.
How long has it been since you've been on the show? This is not your first time, but it's been a long time.
No, it's been a number of years.
Yeah, we got to fix that.
Always a pleasure.
We got to fix that because when I was sitting, and I'll get to it in a second, and listening to a beautiful, I call it a lullaby, a wilderness lullaby, and my eyes were closed, I was almost in tears. It was so beautiful what you and your vocalists do with sound. Unbelievable. So let's talk about that first off. How long have you been conducting and leading the chorus?
It's 17 years.
Oh my gosh!
Since I first joined them, so it's been a wonderful ride.
That is incredible. Yeah. You are partnering with Symphony Tacoma for their final concert coming up on May 11th, and it's called Ode to Joy. And one of the pieces is Beethoven's Ninth. In your opinion, why is that so special?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
It's one of those few pieces that are in the concert and choral repertoire that really has jumped outside the concert hall. It's kind of like, Handel's Messiah,
yes.
the Hallelujah Chorus,
yes.
those kind of pieces, or Carmina Burana. And I think it's with a little bit of the help of movie soundtracks and commercials and whatnot that a wider variety of people are aware of this music and how it's used in flash mobs and that kind of thing. But it's more than that. It's deeper than that because it's just great music.
Yes.
And it was world-turning music, both from a poetic point of view, from a musical point of view, what happened to the symphony as a result of that, just in terms of history. And then it's just had this wave of popularity in the culture. I would venture to say that so many people know about it around the world that it's not concert music anymore, it's folk music.
Oh, I love that. Boy, that should be a t-shirt. It's not concert music, ... It's folk music, it is. So I understand that Beethoven's Ninth is the only symphony that includes a chorus. Tell us about the role of the Symphony Tacoma voices in this.
Well, we have to be really patient because we don't appear until the last scene and the last.
Boy, that is patience.
Yeah. So, and it's quite long. But Beethoven's telling a story. He's kind of telling a story about music history up to this point, and this is in the 1820s, of course, and nothing like this had ever been heard, and he's growing deaf. And he's growing discouraged with the instruments he gets to work with, and he's looking for something new. And so this whole symphony is an unwinding of his career, and then he thinks, I'm looking for something new, and then boom, here comes the chorus. And history changed forever. And so there had never been a symphony with voices before this. And then, of course, all the great composers, whether it's Brahms or Mahler or, you name it, they thought, we want to write that. And so everybody since then has modeled their work after this piece.
So it was really groundbreaking.
Totally groundbreaking.
It was just that big aha that broke open that type of music.
Yeah, he was the Beatles of the 1800s.
Yeah, it was good. That's another great t-shirt. Beethoven equals the Beatles. Right. We're going to have a whole t-shirt come by the time we're done here. Yeah, we are, absolutely. So I mentioned that I saw you last when I was at a concert at Symphony Tacoma in February. Will you tell our audience about the piece that you did with the chorus that simulated what would happen in a sunrise and a sunset on a beautiful mountain?
Yeah, that was called Fire Mountain, and it was commissioned by the Symphony Tacoma a couple of years ago. And it was really interesting. It was originally commissioned to be done with a video, and when we thought we would reprise it again, we originally planned to do a video with it. And then we got to thinking, maybe it just stands better on its own as with the images being drawn up in people's heads.
Yes.
And sure enough it was, and to a person, chorus, orchestra, Sarah, of course, and myself, we just loved it as it stood alone, because it was inspired by Mount Rainier.
I thought so.
And of course, for those of us that live around it and are inspired by that, the colors and the sounds just really drew a great picture for us, didn't it?
It did. I mean, I sat there with my eyes closed, as I do in many concerts, because I see things with my eyes closed more than actually watching. And not that you or Sarah are not delightful to watch, because you are. And especially because you had your chorus standing and embracing the audience, which was so beautiful, because then the sound just came over us. Right. But it was, those voices made wind sounds.
Yeah, they did.
I could hear birds. It was unbelievable. Right. And I say hooray that there was no video. And my only request is I want a CD of that so I can fall asleep listening to it. So you'll have to work on that.
But that's one of the exciting things about Symphony Tacoma is that we're really, Sarah is a champion of making the symphony really relevant.
She is.
And so we have this series of commissions that we're doing. We're doing a second one along with Beethoven. That is really trying to speak to the relevance of the symphony in the modern culture. Mm-hmm. The Hannah Lash piece that we're doing alongside the Beethoven Nine is our second in this series of commissions. And that piece is actually written to be a partner for the Beethoven Nine from her perspective.
Oh my gosh.
And what I love about that is that in so much we see in art, on Broadway right now there's a show that is talking about the Constitution from a woman's perspective. Mm-hmm. And this is really talking about the poetry that Beethoven set, and the whole spirit of that we sing about in the Beethoven Nine. As all men are brothers, and brotherhood and mankind, and it's all this male imagery. Mm-hmm. And so in hopes of finding the sun, it's really speaking from the woman's point of view, but with the same spirit of how we're all connected.
Yes.
And looking to things greater than ourselves.
Yes.
And then we'll also next year do another commission.
I love that. So that piece is called Hopes of Finding the Sun by Hannah Lash.
Right.
And that will be coming up also here on May 11th. Right. So in these last few minutes, let's talk about the season for Tacoma, Symphony Tacoma Voices, and what we can look forward to.
For next year.
Yeah.
We're going to do our annual Messiah.
Yes, I love it.
Which is a hit. We've long thought about trying to do something different, but I think that there would just be a large
uprising.
Outcry and
there
protests
would.
and whatnot. So that's something that everybody looks forward to, and we do look forward to it as well. We'll be doing that in December. And then in the spring, we'll be partnering with the Symphony again and doing this new commission by David Ludwig, and it's called Weeping Pines. And if I could, again, it's speaking to the relevance of modern music to our time. It was written with historical poetry about a pine forest that was dying in North Carolina. So it's quite old poetry. But we're seeing here on the West Coast now, especially here in Tacoma, that our pines are dying.
Yes, they are.
And it's really troubling. And so we've commissioned this piece to kind of to speak to that. And we're working with the composer now to kind of create a story and create a sonic story and a poetic story that really speaks to a concern of our time. We'll be doing that and also partnering that piece with the work of Beethoven, which is his choral fantasy, which really, as we look back on it, was a mini Beethoven 9, because it's just like the Beethoven 9, only it's really compact. It has 4 soloists, the orchestra plays quite a bit at the beginning, the chorus pops out at the end, And so it's a little snapshot of the Beethoven's Ninth Symphony.
That.
So it's a nice partnership there.
I love this partnership, and I love to see the community come together like this, and for us to be able to put those dates on our calendar.
Right.
I want to have you back more often. It's not going to be many, many years before I see you again on the comfy couch.
Yeah.
And I want to throw one more thing out there. I'd like to have you bring a couple of your singers, and let's do some a cappella, beautiful work, and have them featured in between breaks here. Right. And let's hear some beautiful voices.
You have time for a shameless plug?
No. Next time.
Okay.
Real quick, go right ahead.
Karina and Sarah are running a marathon on Sunday.
They are.
Go to symphonytacoma.org and pledge.
That's right, pledge, because they are so wonderful. Geoffrey, thank you so much for being here, and thank you for your partnership and for the years that you have enriched our community.
Yeah, it's been great to be back.
Set our voices free, and I'm going to hunt you down and get you back on the program real soon.
Thanks again. I look forward to seeing you.
My pleasure. All right, when we come back, Tacoma Little Theater will be in the house talking about their current main stage production and also about The Pillow Man that is breaking records. So you don't want to miss that. We'll be right back.